Hi, I'm so glad you're here today. My name's Caleb, and here's a little story about me. So I had this friend in middle school. His name was Cody. Cody and I were just buds, right? A1, day one. We played on the basketball team together. We'd hang out after practice. We'd hang out at each other's houses on weekends. I think a couple times me and Cody even went to church together. We were just really good friends. But then something happened from middle school to high school where we just kind of stopped hanging out. And nothing happened. We didn't get into a big argument, but he had his friend group now and I had mine, and they weren't the same friend group. And it was weird because I would still see him around all the time. We still went to the same school and I'd be like, Cody, what's up? But it just wasn't the same. And it was so weird to have somebody who was such a good friend for a long time and then they're not a good friend anymore, but they're still around, you know? And something that showed me was friendships are important. I think every person can agree on that. And how your friendships are going has the potential to make your day great or not so great. Here's what I mean. There's small things that happen day to day in your friendships that can make you feel good or bad. Things that have a positive effect on your friendship and things that have a negative effect on the friendship. If your friend doesn't show up at youth group or school, it ruins your day because you don't get to sit with them. But when your friend wants to spend the whole afternoon hanging out with you, day made. When your friend posts a picture on social media of everyone hanging out without you, that is the worst. Yo, Jimmy. Y'all are hanging out? I'm free, bro. I don't even have time for this. But when they go out of their way to do something nice for you, that's the best. Now, of course, we want only healthy, positive things to happen in our friendships, right? But as you probably already know, that's not always the case. And it can sometimes feel like the not so great changes in our friendships just weigh us down. Maybe you feel like you can't be yourself around your friend anymore, or you can't be honest with them about how you really feel, or maybe you can't trust them to keep your secrets, or maybe they did something to you that was really hurtful. No matter the reason, I think at some point it's easier for us to see the negative changes in our friendships instead of the positive ones. And that can be especially true right now in middle school. If you haven't felt that way before, stick with me because chances are you will experience this feeling at some point. The reality is friendships change. But what if I told you that changes in your friendships don't always have to be negative? What if there's a different way to think about the shifts that take place in our friendships? The good news for us is that we aren't the first people on earth to experience this kind of friendship tension. Maybe you've never heard this story before, but there were two great friends in the Bible named Paul and Barnabas. These guys went through a big change in their friendship, and I think we can learn a lot from what they experienced. Paul and Barnabas were a dynamic duo. I'm talking ride or die friends on a worldwide mission to spread the teachings of Jesus. And honestly, they were a great team. Together, Paul and Barnabas spent most of their time traveling to start new churches. Remember, this was thousands of years ago, so there were no airplanes or great hotels to make for a fun trip. Traveling back then was very different. Mostly, Paul and Barnabas walked, like a lot. They slept on the ground under the night sky or in the home of a stranger who had welcomed them in. There was nothing glamorous about their road trips. Even though they'd been traveling together for a long time as friends, Paul and Barnabas still argued from time to time. Don't we all fight with our friends every once in a while? But one day, they got into an argument that caused a change in their friendship. Here's what happened. Sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns where we preach the word of the Lord and see how they're doing." Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark, with them, but Paul did not think it wise to take him because he had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not continued with them in the work. So Paul and Barnabas basically had a disagreement about another friend in their friend group named John Mark. Even though John Mark had abandoned the work they were doing together in the past, Barnabas seemed to believe that John Mark deserved a second chance. But Paul, looking at John Mark's past actions, was certain that history would repeat itself. So Paul and Barnabas had a bit of a conflict. Two friends, two different people, two different perspectives. Let's see what happened next. They had such a sharp disagreement that they parted company. Barnabas took Mark and sailed for Cyprus, but Paul chose Silas and left, commended by the believers to the grace of the Lord. did you see that one coming? Paul and Barnabas got into such a bad argument that they decided to go their separate ways. That's a huge deal. These two friends had so much history with each other, but then their relationship shifted, and Paul and Barnabas had to focus on what was best for them right then. For them, the goal was always spreading the message of Jesus. In order to keep doing that, though, they had to take a step back from each other. They had to choose different paths. They had to shift. Shifting their friendship didn't ruin their lives. In fact, it actually strengthened and helped other people's lives. Because they made the shift in their friendship, Paul and Barnabas were able to keep going in their mission to share the heart of Jesus with others. They were able to increase the faith of others tremendously, and that is a huge deal. I'm sure it must not have been easy for Paul and Barnabas to shift their friendship in that moment, but doing so meant that they could keep moving toward good things in the future. And what I love is that these two best friends didn't let their personal disagreement start a war between them. They didn't ask their friends to take sides. They didn't throw shade. They didn't try to damage each other's mission or reputation along the way. Instead, they simply stepped back and moved on. Here's what I think we can learn from Paul and Barnabas when we find ourselves in a similar situation. Friends change, and that's okay. Sometimes, even in our best real friendships that we've had forever, things can shift. At first, changes in our friendship might seem scary or bad, but that's not always the case. Sometimes changes are totally okay. We meet new people to hang out with, and that's okay. We become interested in different things, and that's also okay. We experience new things separately for the first time, and that's okay. We've added new friends to the group, and it has made things kind of different. That's okay too. See, changes in our friendships don't always have to be negative. I mean, they can be depending on the situation. A lot of times, it's normal for even the best friendships to change as you get older and go through new experiences. Let's think back to Paul and Barnabas. They changed their relationship because they knew it would lead to good things in their lives. I know we don't often talk about how to step back from a friendship like Paul and Barnabas did. We don't usually say that sometimes it's okay to step back from a friendship that's no longer good for us. It's okay to shift a friendship that isn't working anymore. Just like Paul and Barnabas did, we can walk away from a friendship that feels unbalanced or unhealthy. It isn't wrong to take a step back from friendships. I know this might seem like an unkind thing to do, but trust me, it's not. Or at least it doesn't have to be. In fact, knowing how to handle changes in your friendships is actually a really healthy and good thing to learn, because for the rest of your life, you'll be in friendships that will have their ups and downs. Some of them might even come to an end. It may not always be because something bad happened, like someone telling a lie or hurting your feelings or making a choice you didn't agree with. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you just have to step back from a friendship you realize is no longer right for you. When your lives have gone in different directions, when your interest changes significantly, when you just need to be around someone who will encourage you toward the best for yourself. Those things aren't big, dramatic reasons for a break, but they're still important reasons to step back from a friendship when it's no longer good for you. And when a friendship needs to shift, it doesn't mean your attitude toward that person has to shift with it. You don't have to cut them off or ask your friends to ignore them or post rude things about them on your Instagram. Instead, it means you can make the choice to let the friendship change while still being kind toward the other person, because friends change, and that's okay. I know this may not be easy for some of you. Changes in our friendships can be hard for all of us at times, but remember, those changes in your friendships don't have to mean bad things. Sometimes a change is necessary in order for you and your friend to live your best lives. Sometimes you need to take a step back from a friendship that is no longer good for you to take a step toward what is good for you. And that good for you part is huge. I'm not telling you to step back from friendships just because you have one fight or rough patch in your friendship. I'm telling you to step back or make a change when you know the friendship isn't good for you. So, what do we do with this? How do we handle friendships that need to change? You can start by remembering these things. First, it's okay to think about which friendships need to change. You can think about who your real friends are or who you'd like them to be. Do you have friends in your life who you know aren't helping you make healthy and wise choices? Or maybe you have a friend you might need to take a break from in order to be a better version of yourself. I know this isn't always easy, so think about a trusted adult like your group leader or a grown-up you live with to help you figure it out. Chances are they can be a huge support for you, and their wisdom can help you know what the right next step might be for your friendships. Second, remember it's okay to step back. If you realize you need to make a change in one of your friendships, that's okay. Remember, just because the friendship has to change doesn't mean it has to end. Maybe the shift in your friendship simply means you spend less time with that person. Sure, they can sit with you at lunch or come to your birthday party or hang out in your large friend group, but maybe having them spend the night at your house or sharing personal secrets or asking for their advice isn't a good idea anymore. Or maybe you're in a situation where a bigger shift needs to happen. Maybe you need to have an honest conversation with a friend about how you feel. The wisdom of that trusted adult in your life can help you navigate a conversation like that. Remember, the shift doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means something in your friendship has changed, and the friendship isn't the best thing for you right now. And third, remember, it's okay to be kind. In fact, it's important to be kind. You may not be best friends anymore, or the friendship might look a little different, but you can still choose to respect the other person. You can still choose to be kind in how you talk to and about that person. Handling a change in a relationship with kindness is a huge sign that you not only care about the other person, but you want what's best for them as much as you want what's best for yourself. So, as you consider making changes to who your real friends are right now, think about how you can handle those shifts with kindness. Your group can be a safe place to talk about all this friendship stuff. In fact, your group has the potential to be your real friends too. And that starts with choosing to be honest with each other about real life things like friendships changing. Opening up to your group is also an opportunity for you to encourage one another to see God in the way you handle these changes to your friendships. And I hope you'll do that today. And if you aren't ready to open up to your whole group, I want to encourage you to share with your group leader. They're here to help you navigate complicated or changing friendships in a way that honors you and the other person. Remember, friends change, and that's okay. My hope today is that you'll have the courage to let your friendships change when they need to. Because when you do, you're making a decision to move toward what's good and healthy for your life right now.